So many things happening, so many things that Nigerians have to contend with at this point in time, from rising cost of commodities to the free fall of the naira and to petrol scarcity. One thing that is the common thread, for members of the government at this point in time is to appeal for patience. In fact, in addition to that, there is also that call for recommendations, to assist the government, and that's why we're continuing this conversation to look at how government can rein in on the free fall of the naira and, check the rising cost of commodities. And to, weigh in on this, let's welcome Mr. Ike Umogbe, Dr. Samuel Ike Umogbe. He's the President, International Association for Strategy Professionals, IASP, Nigeria, certified expert as well in microfinance, Frankfurt School of Finance and Management. Mr. Ike Umogbe, thank you so much for coming on the morning brief this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So as we start off this conversation, let's look at a number of interventions that government has put in place in the last few weeks, from the president's instruction that food be released, grains be released from the strategic grains reserve, to the even most recent call yesterday that there should be a resumption of distribution of 25,000 naira to homes that are challenged. Why are these measures not yielding quick gains?
Okay, thank you so much once again. So if I may go straight to the question, the reason is not far-fetched. It's because the government is being reactive to what is happening. So if the government were strategic, have a blueprint of what is happening, which is the current situation, and have a plan in terms of the vision in the next 4 years, have a mission for the next 4 years, have a goals, maybe per year, knows about the core values and the policies of the country, from the vision, the citizens will be able to know what do we look forward to from every action that comes up. But when you are reacting, you bring in palliative, you serve food per country, and there is no monitoring due to lack of implementation plan. You see things working haphazardly. So for me, I will advise that urgently there should be a call for the State of the Union, where the government should be able to read out the blueprint for all stakeholders, especially stakeholders who have sworn allegiance to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and promising prosperity. And if you look at one slogan for this current administration, that is renewed hope. For instance, renewed hope when? Renewed hope in food scarcity, renewed hope in hunger, renewed hope in insecurity. Now, renewed hope is a very good slogan, but it should be backed by a strategic roadmap and serious-minded people who will advise the administration on what is happening to the common man. And there should be, like I said, a roadmap where everything happening will be able to be viewed, just like you view your CCTV when you are inside and you can see who is coming into the shop, who is going out from the shop, and all that. So we really need a think tank. I know there is a think tank team, definitely, but to what extent are they pragmatic? To what extent are they political orientated? So these are two different things. We have military strategy, for instance. We have the corporate strategy, for instance. These are different strategies. So if you want to bring in the military strategies to address the corporate strategies, you may just be missing it. So there should be a proper fitting, and then this country will begin to experience its true value. Road to success is not an easy task. It's not a best of time, especially when we have some policies to stop paying subsidies, coupled with insecurity, but they are interlinked. They are interlinked. The insecurity probably is as a result of the hardship, because a kidnapper in Abuja and a kidnapper in Benin City, for instance, they are not relatives. They don't know themselves. A kidnapper in Abuja may kidnap a Benin kidnapper if he knows he has money. But what is the common denominator is the fact that they are both hungry. They all need money. And that is what is happening in the country currently. Thank you.
So I know you've done a bit of diagnostics. So let's begin to see solutions, because since all of this started, there's been a lot of talk about what is going wrong and what is going wrong. And Nigerians are getting really worried and tired. I know you mentioned something in passing. So let's look at all the elements now. Let's look at from the fiscal authority, I mean the government, before we talk about the monetary authority. People are looking for both short-term, mid-term and long-term solution, but the one that is urgent so that people it doesn't result to social unrest. What is urgent that has to be done right now from the fiscal authority, in addition to some of the things you said, practically implementable?
Okay, thank you for that. I think practically, and I use the word pragmatically, is communication. You know, Carter, in his 8th model for change, called for urgency as number one. So anything you're going to be saying or doing, it has to be urgent. And then it talks about let the people know about the vision. Let the people know what you want to do for them. And don't make it too ceremonious. Don't make it a January speech. Don't make it an Easter speech. Don't make it an October 1st speech. Make it a speech we see every day. Let people begin to see the hope through the local government, through the post office, through the police station. Police station not for arrest, but to pick up what truly belongs to them. In the churches, government should begin to identify clusters, the traditional rulers. Every cluster should be identified. Bring together these clusters. Let's have a common goal that the people are hungry. For instance, the churches, the mosque, like I said, the police station, the post office. Let people go out of their conventional activities and attack this abnormal situation of national epidemic of hunger and insecurity, and it should be urgent. Let people begin to feel that the government is responsible, just to, like you said, so that people will not take laws into their hands. The foods are available, but they are expensive. What if people begin to run into the market to carry food by themselves? What if people begin to attack the people who are selling food because they are hungry? We will not get there, but we should not plan to get there by deliberate actions that we put in place. It is normal, just like the father in the house going to sleep without locking doors and believing that the wife will do it or the neighbor will do it. He may just be robbed by not doing it himself. So the government should take responsibility and also identify stakeholders that will implement this responsibility through the NEPA office, through the post office, like I said, through the police stations, and people will appreciate that police are coming to their houses to supervise sharing of food rather than coming to arrest them. There will be a change, and there will be a belief system back to the country. Maybe from there, it has to be a continuous effort, because where we are now is even worse than the pandemic in 2020. You know, this is just coming because of what the policies, and because the policies were linear. You know, you just said one policy, not looking at the other side of the ripple effect. It can cause a chaos. It can cause a demonstration. You know, like in 2012 when there was first a subsidy removal that just resulted from 65 to 140. We had Occupy Nigeria. Now people cannot even eat to occupy Nigeria. But if the people resolve to come out in their anger, like they say, a hungry man is an angry man, we cannot predict a calculated demonstration in Nigeria. You know, I use the word calculated because, like, the NSAS was just, some people may see it from an emotional perspective, some may see it at a pragmatic perspective, but when a hunger drives a man to the street, it may just be a serious one.
You've raised some very important issues. Communication being top on that list, and I think we've said it time and again that the governments need to open up as much as possible. Let people know. I mean, there are still questions about whether or not subsidy is being paid. Well, the people know the answer, but they've not gotten any official confirmation from a government. So there's distrust in that area. And I can go on and on about how, you know, government needs to come out with the right information. But then government can be a bit tricky, because when we say government, attention is on the federal. Rightly so, by the way. The federal wields the most powers, and that's understandable. So there needs to be pressure. But I'd like us to also break it down, because I see you're a microfinance expert. So let's talk about micro-governance as well. How should we begin to break this down? Communicate, yes, but from local, states, and the rest, how should the communication be? Oh dear. I imagine you lost some part of my question, but essentially I'm talking about communication, breaking it down to the, you know, local, state, and the rest. How should that communication be carried on by the other tiers of government, or levels rather?
Okay, thank you. I get that now. Okay, you see, like the politicians will say, politics is local. You know, that's when you want to bring local perspective to solution. You see, politics is local. And then when we want to register, everybody is encouraged to go to their the villages and the rest. So when the solution comes in, we should also use that framework. We have traditional rulers, we have street owners or rulers, we have landlords, we have GOs, we have DPOs in the police, in the security area. So these are the institutions that we respect. We have women, market leaders. These are institutions we respect. Now, the only problem that government will have in using these leaders is trust. But when we get to a situation that is this serious, the government need to call everybody home and say, let's be truthful to ourselves. We are in a situation that needs an urgent attention. So be responsible to your streets, be responsible to your local government, be responsible to your church. You know, the church leaders, for instance, the mosque, for instance, you can't be talking things that happen in the 18 DC. And meanwhile, people in 2024, in February, have not eaten and they are not fasting. It's not pragmatic. So everybody should begin to say what is happening to the current situation. If it's to talk about the 5,000 feeding by loaves and bread, it works, maybe that should be what they should be talking about. Or if that doesn't work, give them living food. So, like I said, the normal ADC, PHCN that will come to your estate to cut your lights or to request, those same people can also be used to bring food to people because they know the houses they go to collect bill from. Let's use the existing structure. The post office, the police, to distribute food and give reports, and there should be supervision. Because what is not supervised is not achieved. There should be supervision to the grassroots level. And that's communication. Communication is you say, you do, you come around, it's pragmatic, people begin to, from there, we also need to talk about the social interaction, like in the village during Christmas, during other program, house to house, they share food, they distribute things, they give things to the widows, they give it to the orphanage and all. At this point in time, there are so many people that are displaced, that are not rather orphans, they are not rather widow, but they are hungry. So people should be encouraged to that bag of rice in their house to distribute. Let love lead in Nigeria. But government should be involved. When I say government, I don't mean the president. I mean somebody need to lead. Somebody need to lead the whole thing. We have an approach we call the lead, the think, the plan, and the act. So in the leading sector, government would need to put the structure in place in terms of who leads and who doesn't lead. In the thinking is when those sectors begin to think who needs it most, who is urgent, and in the plan is when to say the timeline. Who will do it? When will they do it? What are the expectations that when they do it, what are the expectations, like the KPIs? And then, who monitors that this thing is actionable and is working? That is the act. That is back to government again. So it's not just 2024. It's not just, people have been complaining even before now. There was a statistic, there was a report done by the Prime Times in 2022, and just 8% of people shown to be happy with some of the policies of the last administration. Now, if they should go back in 2024, as at today, in February, to carry out that survey, how many people are happy with the current policies, like the removal of fuel subsidy? That is, like I said, that is linear. It's linear in the sense that it's looking at one side. The other side of why the policy was made is not pragmatic. What is pragmatic is what people can see. Like there is queue, for instance. There is queue, there is hunger, there is insecurity. All the four blocks
all right, Doc,
are affecting the man.
Dr. Sam, as we begin to wind down now, in a few words, Kade talked about micro-governance. And in respect to that, many have asked, why should Nigerians further down south have to wait every time for food to come from the north? And we know from reports that the subnationals are getting increased allocation as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy. So what should we be expecting from the subnationals in terms of agriculture and in fact other areas, security, as we look forward to more accountability in the expenditure of funds coming to them from FAC allocation?
Okay. Like you mentioned the fact that why should we be looking up for the north? Yeah, we cannot totally eliminate the fact that that is like the star, if you want to use the PCG model to look at it. We have the star, we have the cash cow, we have the question mark, we have the problem child. Yeah, some states may just have a bad land, and in terms of agriculture, they may not be able to contribute as much as the other states. And that's why we have a country. Everybody cannot be producing or be at the same par. And that's why we also have what we call the core competencies. So we should identify, which we already know, the different states and their core competencies, and support them in their own comparative advantages now. And then everybody bring in their contribution to the center. So the center, it doesn't mean National Assembly. I mean distribution from the north to the south, from the south to the north, and vice versa. And we should support them. And then if there is any other innovation that we can bring in to the other states in terms of agriculture, maybe it's necessary. Or if it's not necessary, let everybody face their own core competencies in their state, but everybody should be accountable and make sure there's no waste, and everybody is optimizing their natural resources, their human resources, their material resources. We have a vast land in this country, in all our countries, in all over the country, I mean. So some could support the cereal, some could support the livestock, if you also want to look at the agriculture distribution and everything. But we should just be serious. That's what I mean. We should just be, it shouldn't be, when you say president or Nigeria, you should be thinking of APC or PDP. No, it's a country. That's why it started by saying the State of the Union.
True.
The State of the Union
Dr.
is
Samuel.
to say this is where we are.
These are indeed difficult times, and they test the creative capacity of government, and that's why they're elected in the first place. So we hope that some of the practical recommendations that have come out from this conversation will be considered and looked into. Dr. Samuel Aikumogbe, President, International Association for Strategy Professionals, IASP Nigeria. Thank you so much for coming on the Morning Brief on Channels Television. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we'll switch gears now. What is all of this without a satirical, or if you like, comic relief to so much of the challenges that we're going through? We're going to be looking at it from a unique perspective, someone who has recorded successes in her career as she has depicted socioeconomic issues using images, animation. So stay with us for this conversation. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.